This page is the cover of Dreamcast Magazine, featuring the games Headhunter and Outrigger. It also mentions Skies of Arcadia and Crazy Taxi 2, promising even more kerosiness. Inside there's coverage of Daytona USA 2001, Shenmue 2, Soldier of Fortune, and Virtua Fighter 4. They're even giving away over £2,500 worth of prizes, including Rogue Spear, Grand Prix 3, Evil Dead, Iron Aces, Evil Twin, Commandos 2, and Bomberman Online. A right mixed bag, I must say. This page features an amusing harpoon missile schematic, labeling it as awesomely powerful, deadly accurate, but also quipping that without highly trained specialists, it's about as lethal as a pork sausage. The schematic highlights the warhead/payload and classified components, and notes its capabilities. Stopping a 4,000-ton vessel dead at 70 miles, cruising at Mach 0.9, and attacking from various levels. The Royal Navy recruitment advert encourages vital souls to join up. Hacking for. This page is a Cheats Unlimited advert featuring a woman holding a gun, alongside a list of games for which they offer cheats and tips. Titles mentioned include Army Men Sarge's Heroes, Aerowings, Biohazard, Crazy Taxi, Dead or Alive 2, and many more. They encourage gamers to call a premium rate number to access their cheat service. Quaint many more. The next page starts with Newscast and contains a news editorial discussing recent events like the arrival of Virtua Fighter 4, Crazy Taxi 2 and Shenmue 2, plus updates on Headhunter, Evil Twin and Grand Prix 3. The main feature is a preview of Virtua Fighter 4, highlighting the stunning graphics and new gameplay enhancements. Characters like Akira, Pai, Kaje, Aoi, Lao and Wolf are mentioned, while the fate of Shundi, Jeffrey and others remain undecided. The reviewer is clearly excited, hoping Sega brings the game to the Dreamcast, and claiming that the game looks every bit as gorgeous as hoped. A section called Virtua Fighter Through the Ages is also shown, showcasing how the graphics have developed in the VF series over the years. This page is from the Newscast section, covering several game updates. It features Headhunter, a Sega action/adventure title where you play as Jack Wade, an amnesiac ex-member of the anti-crime network, attempting to solve a murder and uncover a conspiracy. The game is described as detailed as Shenmue, with Metal Gear Solid-style gunplay. There's also news about Lost in Europe, latest Agatha details, set in 1929 rural Romania, where your choices will affect the story, and network features being planned, but no online play. Finally, we have Bombs Away, exclusive first Bomberman Online screenshots, revealing that Bomberman Online is coming to Dreamcast, with up to 10 players able to battle. This page dives into more gaming news with an Evil Twin preview, which is an adventure game where Orphan Cyprian travels the world of Bedunder, think Nightmare Before Christmas, and the City of Lost Children, and you will get an idea of the direction of this game. Its story and visuals look impressive. There's also some Alien Front online news, revealing you can use the Dreamcast microphone to talk tactics or hurl abuse at enemies, which sounds pretty darn cool. And there is also mention of a Dreamcast exclusive mode, and finally an update on a potential Phantasy Star Online sequel, and it is very much on the cards. The page also has Hot Bites, a summary of Dreamcast games and Virtua Fighter 4, and there is also the Sega Kara karaoke set being released in Japan. This page starts with some breaking news from the world of Dreamcast. Apparently the Dreamcast has been crowned Console of the Year, and Crazy Taxi has been awarded Best Dreamcast Game of 2000. The article highlights that this is quite a feat for Sega, acknowledging their efforts despite the console's lack of mass-market success. Ebomania breaks down the awards given to Dreamcast games. Shenmue scooped Best Graphics and Best Story, Space Channel was dubbed Most Original Game, Dead or Alive 2 took Best Fighting Game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 nabbed Best Sports Game, and Rayman 2, The Great Escape secured Best Platform Game. The page then goes on to showcase some of the most wanted games. Outrigger, a first-person shooter, is hyped as something special, while Crazy Taxi 2 gets a nod with a bunch of screenshots. Confidential Mission is also mentioned, raising the question of when it will finally be released. The timeline section previews upcoming games. Black and White, Soul Reaver 2 and Agatha are listed with their respective release timeframes. Lastly there's Oh Brother, new Floygem Brothers details, where news about visual concepts Floygem Brothers are revealed, particularly the inclusion of online features and extra downloadable content, including visual changes and holiday themes. There's even talk of trading the clueless Moigel over the internet with other players, This is described as a whole bundle of online attributes to keep you busy. This page leads with, Give Peace a Chance, spotlighting the real-time strategy game Conflict Zone by Ubisoft, formerly known as Peacemakers. The game is set in the 21st century, where players can choose to lead either the International Corps for Peace or the Independent Dictators, tackling 16 missions to achieve political and military objectives. It also notes that you can manipulate the world's media for your own benefits, gaining popularity and more money for better tech and weapons. Moving on. In Your Dreams, reminisces about Gunstar Heroes, a game Treasure should bring to the Dreamcast. The page highlights Treasure's reputation for innovative ideas and the game's unique blend of platforming and shooting, with stages ranging from vine-filled jungles to minecart rides, and even a death-defying board game. Lastly, Sega Ups the Pace details Sega's plans to incorporate Dreamcast technology into set-top boxes in partnership with Pace Microtechnology. The technology allows users to download games, watch TV, and access new services. The next page kicks off with a UK charts update and a release schedule, brought to you by eb.uk.com, highlighting upcoming Dreamcast titles with their prices and release dates. Some of the games mentioned include Starlancer, Iron Aces, Carrier, and Rogue Spear. E-Flat also gives their take on Sega's renaissance, noting the company's past struggles despite strong products. Additionally, there is a section on the top 10 sellers at eb.uk.com, with Phantasy Star Online taking the top spot. There's news on Soldier of Fortune, indicating that the game is still coming to the Dreamcast, despite being handed over to Ubisoft. They've managed to get hold of a few bits and pieces about the Dreamcast version of the game, and got their hands on a plethora of new screenshots, with a classic first-person shooter set to hit the Dreamcast. The page also has information on Jammy Dodger, another Sega arcade game, Sports Jam, coming to the Dreamcast, featuring a selection of sports-based minigames. Finally, there's an Attaboy competition, where readers can win copies of Fighting Vipers 2 by answering a question about what other beat-em-up series Yu Suzuki is responsible for. A small blurb about a racial inequality in the PC version of Soldier of Fortune due to the points rewarded for saving hostages, and a full-page advert for the Sega Dreamcast. This page leads with Newscast, focusing on PC games heading to Dreamcast. It questions if you can handle the truth about potential PC to Dreamcast ports. There's coverage of Star Trek, Away Team, described as a strategy-action game in the Star Trek universe, and Serious Sam, a monster-filled first-person shooter, though its Dreamcast release is doubtful. The main feature, Retro Rockets, discusses playing older console games on the Dreamcast via emulators. Emulators like Boo Boy, Game Boy, DCM-D, Mega Drive, and Neo Pocket, Neo Geo Pocket are mentioned. Games like Head Over Heels, Horace Goes Skiing, and Daley Thompson's Decathlon are highlighted. The page also warns about the legal issues of using emulators. In the corner there is a segment called Choo Choo Steams On, which is a preview of Choo Choo Rocket on the Game Boy Advance. This page jumps right into the newscast section, kicking off with a look at Commandos 2 for PC, wondering how it might fare on the Dreamcast. There's also a mention of the game's expanded setting beyond Europe, reaching into the Arctic, North America, and even Asia. Then we have Let the Fight Begin, where Sega and EA are apparently not getting along, with some choice words exchanged about software publishing and sports titles. The page then dives into Who the What the, spotlighting Visual Concepts' Ooga Booga, described as an online strategy title with a rather bonkers premise involving witch doctors and volcano goddesses. The reviewer amusingly notes the sheer madness of it all, yet admits it might just surprise you. Finally, the page ends with an advert for TotalGames.net. This page starts with Bargain Basement, highlighting Dreamcast deals on the internet. You could snag a Dreamcast with 2 games for £98.99 from ukgames.com, or get 6 games for £139.99. Simply Games offers a Dreamcast for £95.99, or with 3 games for £156.96. Electronic Boutique has a Dreamcast plus 4 games for £109.99. The page then showcases DCTV, featuring fantasy shooting stars online. Vic and Bob are attempting to colonize the planet Ragol in this game. Moving on, there's an exclusive update on Shenmue 2, titled Wait and Behold. The article mentions improvements like a wait and don't wait system to speed up gameplay, and an action select icon. According to the review, AM2 have sped up the loading times, so that you won't ever have to wait more than 2 seconds for the game to load. Finally, there's a section called All Mapped Out, where the writer pokes fun at players getting lost in the original Shenmue and mentions the inclusion of maps in Shenmue 2. The page then dives into Femmes Fatales, covering Virtua Tennis 2 details, including news of the Williams sisters and Monica Seles, as well as a mixed doubles mode. The page concludes with a PlayStation advert that states, "On sale the 8th of March, 2001. This page is an advert for Dreamcast games and accessories. It features deals on the Dreamcast console itself, bundled with games like Tomb Raider 4, Sonic Adventure, and UEFA Striker. There are also offers for the Dreamcast keyboard and Phantasy Star Online bundle. The advert lists various Dreamcast games alphabetically with their prices, including Resident Evil 2, Silent Scope, and Street Fighter Alpha 3. Accessories such as memory cards, controllers, and the Mad Catz MC2 racing wheel are also featured, alongside release dates for new games like Soldier of Fortune and Starlancer. Finally, pre-order games such as Evil Dead, Hail to the King are listed. Please provide the text you want me to summarize. Warrington also has many. This page features 3 game reviews, starting with Pro Pinball Trilogy, which is described as bringing together previous pinball games onto one grey drum. The reviewer wonders why it took so long for it to arrive on Dreamcast and suggests it'll please hardcore pinball fans. There is talk of Big Race USA, Fantastic Journey, and Time Shock. Next up is Coaster Works, a management sim where you design roller coasters. The reviewer appreciates its difference from the usual racing and beat-em-up games, suggesting it's a welcome addition. Finally, there's Charge and Blast, an arcade-style shoot-em-up where you defend Earth from aliens. The reviewer notes its lack of an original story, but hopes the gameplay and explosions make up for it. John Down, Nicholas Woods, and Pamela Hewitt feature as characters in the game. This page features a preview of Grand Prix 3 for the Dreamcast. The reviewer expresses excitement for yet another racing game, particularly due to the involvement of Jeff Crammond, who is renowned for his previous racing titles. The focus is on realistic AI and gameplay, setting it apart from other graphically focused F1 games. The reviewer mentions the ability to race against realistic AI drivers like Schumacher and Coulthard, and anticipates a great experience if the Dreamcast version lives up to the PC version. Additionally, there is a preview of Iron Aces, a World War II aerial combat sim. The game aims to strike a balance between hardcore simulation and arcade-style action. It features historical events, missions like dogfighting and bombing, and a host of planes including Hurricanes and Spitfires. A bizarre twist is noted, where the game's developers have changed the names of allied and enemy forces. The next page is a spread featuring a preview of Evil Dead, Hail to the King and Carrier. The reviewer isn't particularly optimistic about Evil Dead, citing choppy visuals, unimpressive backdrops, and poor character animation. They note that the game borrows elements from both the Evil Dead movies and Capcom's Resident Evil series. The gameplay puts you in control of Ash, as he battles deadites with his chainsaw and boomstick. The reviewer suggests waiting for a comprehensive review before buying, which honestly sounds fair. Carrier receives a similar reception, being deemed yet another Resident Evil clone. The reviewer is unimpressed with the PAL release, finding it very familiar and not particularly inspiring. A key feature of the game is a device that allows you to scan people to detect infection. The reviewer suggests that there's little to look forward to unless you have a strong zombie obsession, which is a bit harsh but also kind of funny. There are mentions of softography and essential information for both games, which includes anticipation ratings of 60% and 40% respectively. I think it's safe to say that neither title is setting the world on fire. This page features Rogue Spear, which the writer describes as a rather anal simulation, whatever that means. The preview highlights the game's tactical depth and realistic gameplay. The reviewer notes that it can be quite a shock to the system if you're used to running in guns blazing. They also mention that the Dreamcast version suffers from a lack of online multiplayer, a big drawback when the PC version was successful in that area. Rogue Spear gets an anticipation rating of 75% in the essential information. There are also some smaller features, Tango in Sight and Bright Light, which describe using sniper rifles and flash grenades. There is also previous titles from Red Storm, including Rainbow Six, Roswell, Conspiracy Theories, and Red Storm. This page previews Outrigger, a first-person shooter coming to Dreamcast. The reviewer states that it promises visceral pleasure for Dreamcast owners, comparing its anticipated smoothness to a politician in the run-up to an election. The page also showcases a variety of level designs including the observatory, Quiet Station, Colosseum, White Base, Asian Ruins, and Library. This page continues the preview of Outrigger, highlighting more level designs. Old Castle, a familiar FPS setting but with a unique design. Busy Station, offering train-dodging action. Blast Furnace with lava-filled hazards. Art Museum, a killing field amidst masterpieces. Water Sanctuary, an Egyptian-themed arena. And Dark Castle, for stealth gameplay using thermal imaging. The preview emphasizes the game's 4 characters, Talon Grunt, Jay Aragaki, Lina Miyagi, and Alain Chiel, and their journey to join the International Counter-Terrorism Special Forces. It praises the game's multiplayer and online modes, as well as the polished graphics and gameplay. The reviewer declares Outrigger as an epitome of visual gorgeousness. A best of the best section compares Outrigger favorably to other shooters, including Half-Life, Quake 2i Arena, and Unreal Tournament. A Games Masters sidebar lists classic AM2 games, including Superhang-On, Space Harrier, Outrun, Virtua Fighter Series, Daytona USA, and Shenmue. The page ends with essential information: publisher Sega, developer AM2, 14 players, 80% complete, release date July 2001, and an anticipation rating of 95%. This page features Planet Harriers, a spiritual successor to the classic Space Harrier. The article highlights the game's intense graphics, fast-paced gameplay, and numerous enemies. It also showcases the Star Shopping feature, where players can buy upgrades. The Soldiers of Fortune section introduces the game's playable characters: X, a guitar-playing rock god; Corey, a seemingly cute character with a deadly syringe; Nick, a baseball bat-wielding powerhouse; and Glenn, a cop fighting for justice. The page praises the game's bosses as being extremely tough and stunning. This page includes a section called In the Arcade, featuring Planet Harriers. The page presents opinions from various people at Sega Park, Bournemouth regarding Planet Harriers, with comments on its classic feel, graphics, and fun gameplay. The contributors are Adam Kill, manager; Richard Allen, assistant manager; Tom Pretty, student; Mark McLennan, car insurance salesman; Nick Reeve, computer programmer; Rob Parrish, student; and Damien Jardel, student. There is also an offer to win 20 copies of the game Vanishing Point, with a competition that requires answering 3 questions. A Dreamcast review of Daytona USA 2001 scores 66%, highlighting visuals 75%, sound 73%, and gameplay 79%, but a low-value score 54%. The reviewer's collective sentiment is that the game is playable, but not exceptional. Other Dreamcast games reviewed include Skies of Arcadia, highly recommended; NBA Hoops, Fighting Vipers 2, ECW Anarchy Rules, Giant Killers, Ducati World, and Typing of the Dead. The review section also includes a scoring breakdown and analysis. Giant and Norint. This page is a Skies of Arcadia review for the Dreamcast. It starts off by stating that the Dreamcast is lacking in epic RPGs, calling out pretenders like Silver, Evolution, The Nomad Soul, Code Veronica, Shenmue, and even Phantasy Star Online. Apparently, Skies of Arcadia is more enjoyable than Phantasy Star Online. The review also mentions Grandia 2 as a close contender in the genre. The reviewer comments that this game will keep you going until you either finish it or burn out your Dreamcast. There are screenshots from the game showing the battle system and world map going. This page continues the Skies of Arcadia review, starting with the Ahoy There, Pinter section, which highlights the minigame downloadable to the VMU. The reviewer describes the game's world as miles of islands and locations, and thinks that Skies of Arcadia world is huge. It will take over 35 hours to complete, and even then, you still won't get to the second disc. Next up is the Nothing But Blue Skies section, which tells us that the game is intriguing and exciting. The reviewer comments how easy it is to lose track of time while playing, with a story and elements that keep you interested, and the reviewer states that the fighting segments of the game borrow ideas from the Final Fantasy series, with a strategic spirit bar. The review then touches on ship-based exploration and combat. The Here They Come to Save the Day segment introduces some of the main characters you'll encounter, such as Vias Ace, Aika, Fina, Drashman Gilda, and the Valuans. This page features the conclusion of the Skies of Arcadia review. The reviewer praises the game's graphics and music, comparing it favorably to other RPGs while noting its unique fantasy setting. The random battles are a minor annoyance, and the reviewer highlights the special attacks that you can teach each member of your party. The reviewer jokingly says that random battles can be annoying, and adds that Skies of Arcadia suffers from being a role-playing adventure game, then comments about how many people seem to dislike the game. Ultimately, the reviewer recommends Skies of Arcadia for both RPG fans and newcomers, suggesting they give it a try. The page also includes the judgment section, highlighting the game's strengths, Skies, and weaknesses, Flies, and offers a second opinion praising the game's scope and atmosphere. There is also an alternatively section, recommending Grandia 2 and Phantasy Star Online, and a Dreamcast rating, giving the game an overall score of 94%. This page shows a review of Daytona USA 2001. The reviewer humorously discusses the arcade version and how this Dreamcast conversion compares. They mention the game's arcade nature, American announcer, and controlling the game using the Dreamcast pad. The review includes screenshots of the game, highlighting different cars and car settings. The reviewer finds the game to be fun and enjoyable, though the controls can be tricky. Jura. The next page is a review of Daytona USA 2001. The reviewer highlights the game as a one-stop arcade-perfect experience. Steve McQueen is mentioned as the driving force. The reviewer touches on the speed, mayhem, and visual style of the game, and says that it's a direct result of successes and failures of previous races. Automotive addiction is mentioned, offering Ferrari F355 as an alternative. The Dreamcast rating is high, with visual scoring 80%, sounds 85%, gameplay 95%, and value 90%, giving an overall score of 90%. This page features a review of NBA Hoops, calling it Midway's latest basketball feast. It mentions the outrageous, over-the-top hallmarks are similar to NBA Showtime, but Hoops finishes the job it sets out to do. There are screenshots of the game, along with a section dedicated to cheat codes. The reviewer claims that the game is the definitive arcade sporting hit, and is perfect for late-night group gaming sessions. Bruh. The next page presents a review of NBA Hoops, praising its slam dunks and fast-paced gameplay. It highlights the customization options, allowing players to create their own teams and players, and showcases the game's graphics and overall charm. The reviewer notes some niggles with the KPU's uncanny knack for winning. The page also features a competition section with various prizes, including a PlayStation 2, a MIDI hi-fi, a PC computer, and a Dreamcast console. This page features a review of Fighting Vipers 2 on the Dreamcast. The reviewer seems somewhat underwhelmed, noting that while it's developed by AM2 and has some clever combos, it doesn't quite live up to the Dreamcast's potential or the standards set by other fighting games like Dead or Alive 2 and Soul Calibur. They criticize the character models, animation and music, ultimately deeming it a disappointment with a score of 65%. The review also delves into the game's mechanics, such as the armor-breaking system and stage interactions. There are screenshots showcasing characters like EMI and Charlie using their unique fighting styles and weapons. A small infoburst section shares some trivia about the game, and the judgment section offers a quick summary of its pros and cons, highlighting some smart combos but ultimately finding the presentation and music lacking. The next page is a review of ECW Anarchy Worlds. The reviewer starts with a Britney Spears reference, suggesting Acclaim has done it again with a disappointing release. They admit some Dreamcast Magazine members may have been too harsh on Acclaim in the past, noting that they are nice people, but their games were generally of poor quality. The reviewer notes that the graphics have been improved and there is a range of matches. They criticize the game for being essentially the same as previous ECW and WWF titles, noting that the wrestlers move like they've got metal rods shoved where the sun don't shine and the collision detection is terrible, and the crowd is made of cardboard cutouts. They conclude that releasing the same game 3 times on one console is one of the biggest travesties in video gaming history, calling it absolutely terrible. A side panel called Infoburst comments on the state of ECW and suggests importing Fire Pro Wrestling D instead. There are also some benchmarks and all that suggesting WWF Royal Rumble and Giant Graham 2000 instead. The game receives a Dreamcast rating of 31%. There is a section called The Judgment, which is basically a pros and cons list. There is a second opinion from Ian Wood who doesn't wish it on the PS2 owners. This page is a review of the game Giant Killers, a football management simulation. The reviewer, Russell Murray, suggests it's for those who fancy themselves as the next big Ron and enjoy tactical management. He notes the game has different skill settings and includes teams from various English leagues, with a focus on tactical options. Murray mentions the game doesn't have impressive graphics, but has a level of detail, offering commentary and adjustments for your team. While not on par with Championship Manager on the PC, it's still entertaining. He humorously adds that if you prefer fast-action football games, you should give this one a miss. Ascertain. An InfoBurst panel comments on football simulations and Manchester United's success. The review features screenshots of the game's interface, including Arsenal tactics, player lists, and the Sunderland 13 Arsenal match diary. The Dreamcast opinion gives the game a 70% rating, with gameplay and value scoring the highest at 80% and 70% respectively. The judgment section lists pros and cons, stating that the game has current squads, detailed commentary, and is easy to play, but lacks real player likenesses and doesn't let you select the free kick taker, and has boring text to read. A second opinion is offered by Alex Warren. Alternatives such as Wafer Dream Soccer and Virtua Striker 2 are also suggested. Finally, a small piece of text mentions the website Giant Killers, which is described as disappointing and only having news and information on the game. This page is a review of Ducati World, a racing game. The reviewer isn't impressed, suggesting you'd be convinced you did something wrong in a past life if you played it for 5 minutes. They criticize the graphics and handling, describing it as a poor old-school racer. The reviewer highlights the lack of originality and excitement, finding it dull and uninspired. They mention the ability to buy bikes and leathers, but question the effort involved. The judgment section is particularly scathing, comparing the game to a dike and suggesting it wasn't finished. The Dreamcast rating is a measly 30%. Alternatives, such as Suzuki Alstair Racing, are suggested. An InfoBurst panel provides information about Ducati World's developer and Ducati's history. A small piece of text mentions the website Ducati.com, which is recommended for more realistic bike audio. The next page features a review of Typing of the Dead for the Dreamcast, a game where you type words to defeat zombies. It's part zombie shooter and part typing tutor. The reviewer acknowledges the odd concept, but finds it surprisingly addictive. The review highlights the game's premise, taken from House of the Dead 2, but with a typing twist, and appreciates the care Sega put into the game. Different modes are mentioned, along with the varying phrases to type which increase or decrease the difficulty. It has a range of challenges that test speed and accuracy. The reviewer compares it favorably to Samba de Amigo in its unique concept. The judgment section playfully explores the game's merits and flaws, while a second opinion praises its surprising entertainment value, noting the challenge for those who don't own a keyboard. The alternative games are suggested as House of the Dead 2 and Mavis Beacon Typing. The Dreamcast rating scores visuals at 93%, sounds at 86%, gameplay at 91%, and value at 92%, resulting in an overall score of 88%. An InfoBurst panel notes the difficulty in finding a UK version and recommends the US version. Screenshots show zombies with phrases to type above them. The magazine rates the game highly. This page is an advertisement from Game Over UK, a mail-order company. It includes sales telephone numbers and email address, with details about their services like email listing updates, in-stock deliveries within 48 hours, special offers, price matching, trade-ins and free customer service and postage. The page also features lists of recent releases, top 10 games and sales for PC, movies, toys, Game Boy Color and Game Boy games, along with pre-order deals for the month of March. Games like Shenmue, Dino Crisis, Street Fighter Third Strike, Resident Evil 3, Sonic Adventure, and other titles are listed with prices. Also included are the terms and conditions for trade-ins and an order form. The page advertises deals, specifically Time Stalkers, which is purchasable with any top 10 game for £15. There is also a note saying if you can't see the game you want from the list to please call. There is a promotion to win Joytech peripherals and Mad Catz peripherals. Finally, there are adverts for Stuff and Nonsense, Phantasy Star Online, regular features Dreamcast On and Dream Moment. This page features the Interact Mailbox section of the Dreamcast magazine, where readers share their thoughts and opinions about the Dreamcast and its games. It touches on topics such as Sega ceasing production of the console, the lack of a Dreamcast version of Duke Nukem, and cross-platform releases. One reader expresses frustration over the Shenmue review and criticizes developers for releasing older games on the Dreamcast with minimal enhancements, labeling it as a cash-in. Another reader shares their experience of acquiring a Dreamcast and being disappointed with the available games compared to the PlayStation. There's also a plea for a keyboard, a section called Shortcuts with reader comments on games, and a request for fewer pictures of Chris Tarrant in the magazine. Games mentioned include Quake 2 Arena, Knights, Burning Rangers, Panzer Dragoon, Radiant Silvergun, and Code Veronica. This page showcases the reader reviews section with 4 games under the spotlight: Sonic Adventure, Fur Fighters, Quake 2 Arena, and The House of the Dead 2. David Richards gives Sonic Adventure a solid 93%, praising the graphics and speed, though noting that Amy and Big the Cat sections feel a bit pointless. Simon Tudge rates Fur Fighters at 95%, calling it a great mix of puzzle solving, platforming, and shooting, with cool characters and wicked guns. Chris McConville also gives Quake 2 Arena 95%, highlighting how it showed off the Dreamcast's capabilities to PlayStation owners, with great gameplay, fast action, and online deathmatch that is truly amazing. Lastly, Oliver Scott scores The House of the Dead 2 a respectable 93%, deeming it a real winner and an arcade-perfect conversion, though a little disappointed by the lack of extras. The page also includes promotions from GameStation, showcasing special offers, and a Dreamcast sale, with titles at £9.99 or less, as well as a pre-owned games section. A list of games, alongside cash trade-in values, are available, such as Buzz Lightyear at £15, and an invitation to trade games. There's also an advert for Inspector Cheats, UK's #1 cheat service, a service providing cheat codes for games on PlayStation, Nintendo, Dreamcast, Game Boy, PC, Saga, and Saturn. Interact DC Online is a Dreamcast internet hub providing links and instructions. Users connect via Dreamcast modem and Dream Key. The site offers shortcuts for navigation, home, mail, etc., and reviews of various websites, categorized by genre. Sections include film, Jurassic Park, Star Trek, issues, drug info, classifieds, child safety, comedy, music, and weird. Celebrity skin issues, absurd jokes, a contest and premium rate ad are also featured. The next page is crammed with cheat codes for a few games. First up is Ready 2 Rumble Boxing Round 2, offering codes to unlock everything from boxes and costumes to game modes. Then we have Silent Scope, with codes for things like scopeless mode, invisible enemies, and to unlock a turbo mode. Next we have Frogger 2, Swampy's Revenge, with the usual suspects, like level skip and infinite lives. Finally, there's NBA Hoops, with a long list of codes that alter gameplay, unlock different uniforms, and change the court itself. The page finishes with cheats for Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX, to unlock additional characters, bikes and modes, such as play as Slim Jim and unlock night vision mode. This page is a queue, and a section where readers have sent in questions about games. The first question from a reader stuck on the first boss in Silver asks for tips or cheats. The next question from a reader stuck on Resident Evil Code. Veronica after beating Alexia for the first time as Chris asks for help. And the final question is from a reader struggles with MDK2. There's also a question regarding the legacy of Kane, Soul Reaver game. The page also features a Beat Yourself Challenge section with challenges for Jet Set Radio, Samba de Amigo, and Ferrari 355 challenge. There's a prominent advert for Dreamcast Solutions magazine. Finally, a Cheats Unlimited advert promotes their service. The next page provides a walkthrough for Phantasy Star Online Part 2, cautioning players that the mines area is quite challenging. It includes a map of the Mines 1 area, numbered from 1 to 28, with gameplay screenshots illustrating enemy encounters and providing tips on how to defeat them. The mission, Knowing One's Heart, is highlighted, tasking the player with finding Callus in the mines. The page also offers character selection advice, discussing the strengths and weaknesses of different races and classes like Hunters, Rangers, and Force. This page continues the Phantasy Star Online Part 2 walkthrough, specifically focusing on the Dr. Osto's research mission in Mines 2. It features a map of the area, numbered from 1 to 23, along with gameplay screenshots and step-by-step instructions on how to navigate the level, defeat enemies like Cannondines and Cenobeats, and ultimately complete the mission. The walkthrough also involves finding a switch, unlocking doors with Sue, and using a disc on a computer. It would seem as if this area has some quite deadly enemies. No. The next page provides a walkthrough for the Unsealed Door mission in Phantasy Star Online Part 2, still set within the mines. It offers a map of Mines 1, also numbered, and detailed instructions for navigating the area, defeating enemies, and activating switches to progress. It advises using trap vision to avoid floating mines and warns of Sinnoh beats and Sinnoh golds. It gives a breakdown on how to avoid enemy confrontation, but also losing out on experience. The hunter looks like one from the caves, although will not talk. Hey yeah. This page continues the walkthrough for Phantasy Star Online Part 2, focusing on the Finding Volume Opt mission within the mines, with maps for Mines 1 and Mines 2. It offers strategies for dealing with enemies, like Sinnoh beats, Sinnoh golds, and a new tank-like enemy. The guide advises using foy attacks and details the locations of switches and transporters to progress through the area, with the goal of finding a transporter in Area 3 and a warp to Mine 2 in Area 27. The next page continues the Phantasy Star Online Part 2 guide, now covering Ruins 1 and the Battle Against Boss 3, Volume Opt. It provides strategies for defeating Volume Opt in its various forms, including targeting specific pillars and running from its attacks. The guide also details the Mission Doc's secret plan, advising players on how to handle new enemies like Daimonians, Claws, and Dark Belra, and providing a map of Ruins 1 with numbered areas and instructions for navigating the area and handling the test machines. It suggests using trap vision and powerful foy attacks to overcome challenges. This page continues the Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 guide, focusing on the Seek My Master mission in the Ruins. There are maps of Ruins 1 and Ruins 2, with numerical guides to follow. The guide offers strategies for navigating the areas, highlighting dangerous rooms and enemy encounters, suggesting retreats when overwhelmed by Daimonians and Chaos Sorcerers. It also includes tips for using Deban to protect against attacks, and explains how to handle enemies like Del Sabers, Dark Gunners, Claws, and a large beast called Zoke. This page concludes the guide for the From the Depths mission in Phantasy Star Online Episode I and 2, focusing on the Ruins area. It includes maps and numbered instructions to help players navigate Ruins 1 and Ruins 2. The guide provides tips for dealing with traps, floating mines, and enemies like Chaos Bringers and Daimonians. It also gives specific instructions on how to activate switches, use warps, and obtain rewards, ultimately leading to copying data at a central computer and returning to Pioneer 2. This page is a solution guide for Mission 8, the Final Confrontation, specifically for the Ruins area in Phantasy Star Online Episode I and 2. It gives advice for leveling up by repeating earlier missions, and suggests equipment to buy, focusing on the Dark Force boss. It provides strategies on how to take down Dark Force in steps, like shooting the flashing mines to summon it, targeting the right-hand head, and using Resta to heal. This page is a collection of adverts. There's one for the Game Boy Advance, pushing pre-orders for March, and offering trade-ins for older Game Boys. Telegames highlights Game Boy Color titles like Seamus, Towers, Yars, and Rhino, mentioning features like first-person movement and battery backup saves. There is a competition to win a PlayStation 2, £150 worth of games, a Nokia 8210, tickets for wrestling at Earl's Court, and a Pentium 2 iComputer. Forbidden Knowledge Book adverts are being advertised, as well as online game stores, such as Computers, 2 Games, with a list of Dreamcast and PlayStation games. There's an advert to advertise in Dreamcast Magazine, and ads for ringtones for Nokia phones. Also, an advert for discount condoms online. Finally, there's Cheats Unlimited plugging their website and a list of games with walkthroughs, including titles like Aero Dancing, Half-Life, and Soul Calibur. This page is the Dreamcast Mag directory, a guide to every Dreamcast game listed. It includes a "What's that all about, eh?" section, explaining what the columns in the game listings mean: game name, publisher, players, VM use, online capability, useful peripherals, issue reviewed in, and rating. The directory itself is a table of games with various details, including 102 Dalmatians, 4-Wheel Thunder, 4x4 Evolution, Aero Wings 2, Armada, Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, Aqua GT, Bangayo, Blue Stinger, Buggy Heat, Buster Move 4, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, Caesar's Palace 2000, Capcom vs SNK, Championship Surfer, Chef's Love Shack, Chicken Run, Choo Choo Rocket, Crazy Taxi and Dave Mirror Freestyle BMX. There are also DVD reviews for Charlie's Angels and The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle. The review staff are also highlighted, including Damien Butt, Ryan Butt, Simon Cann, Neris Coward, Simon Hill, Willie Johnston, Roy Kimber, Kendall Lacey, Ben Lawrence, Martin Mathers, Paul Morgan, Russell Murray, Graham Nicholson, Snehal Nurani, Simon Phillips, Mike Richardson, Jem Roberts, Nick Roberts, Tom Sargent, Stuart Taylor, Alex Warren and Louise Wells. This page continues the Dreamcast Magazine directory, presenting a variety of games and their reviews. The CD reviews section includes Manic Street Preachers Know Your Enemy and The Divine Comedy Regeneration, with ratings given. A section named Most Played Highlights, Skies of Arcadia, and NBA Hoops, with a note on the reviewer's habits and gaming preferences. Not Getting Any refers to the reviewer going on holiday. The Comics section reviews JLA World War II I and Akira, a game with ratings. The game directory continues as a table, including titles such as Nightmare Creatures 2, Pen Pen, Phantasy Star Online, Plasma Sword, Pod 2, Power Stone, Eidos Interactive, Project Justice, Quake 2 iArena, and many other Dreamcast titles. JT Buy. The page also features a Best of Genre showcase, spotlighting Resident Evil Code, Veronica, for action/adventure, Soul Calibur, for beat-em-up, MSR for driving/racing, Choo Choo Rocket, for party/puzzle, Starlancer for shoot-em-up, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 for sports, and Hidden and Dangerous for strategy/simulation. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. Bunny V. Durangton Zine. The next page features a collection of gadgets and gizmos designed to help with procrastination. It includes items like Thunderbird figures, Moomins, soft toys, and the Philips Xenium 9 at 9 mobile phone, which the reviewer jokes is a case of what doesn't it have. There's also an LG flat screen, LCD TV, Rainbow soft toys, B-Flash Kids Cruisers, rollerblade trainers, and a laser office companion tool. Finally, there's a robot dog called Bulldog and Poodle Cheese. Catatra. This page is the front cover of Dreamcast Magazine issue 21, featuring the game Black and White. The tagline reads, "Who needs arcade games when you can be God?" It highlights upcoming reviews for games like 18-Wheeler, Evil Dead, Hail to the King, Coaster Works, Iron Aces, Charge N Blast and Smash Pack. A section for solutions is listed for Skies of Arcadia, as well as cheats, tips and hints for Daytona USA 2001, Fighting Vipers 2, Ducati World, and ECW Anarchy Rules, among others. The cover also includes screenshots from Sonic Adventure 2, Monkey Balls, Agartha, Virtua Tennis 2, Alien Front Online, and Ooga Booga. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. Hanayin Kuto, Tol Modol Halibin. This page is a riot of imported gaming goodies and mobile phone customization options. Project Tay offers a wide array of Japanese import games, hardware and collectibles for PS2, Dreamcast and more, alongside Final Fantasy figures and soundtracks for the discerning fan. On the other half, there's a call to action to invade your mobile with ringtones and graphics for Nokia phones, inviting users to customize their mobile phones. It's a snapshot of early 2000s tech culture at its finest. This page is an advertisement for Dreamcast Magazine, featuring Daytona USA 2001. The page spotlights Dream Moment from the game, complete with screenshots and enthusiastic commentary. There's also information on how to submit your own Dream Moment to the magazine. Bassi yay! The right-hand side of the page contains ads for ukgames.com, showcasing a range of Dreamcast games and accessories, highlighting special offers and discounts. It also includes a listing of special reserve discount stores across the UK and some details on finance options for purchases, plus a competition for Gamer Day.